Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like the Cardinals, we'd pay to go do something somewhere else. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Vincent.
What's up, Nate?
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS, or you can join the Bird Scored, like in 780, who wrote and submitted that opening bit. Thank you, in 780. I think this is a great time, as they mentioned here, to remind everybody of our Patreon and the Bill DeWitt level, which is exactly this. We just need one subscriber at $1.5 million a month, and we will cancel the podcast. We will Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray ourselves out of here. We will be paid to not have anything to do with the Cardinals anymore.
With a smile on our face.
Oh,
yeah, that'd be happy to retire early.
So that option is out there.
Yep.
We're Cardinals are flinging money everywhere right now to not have people affiliated with them, and we take it.
I'm now realizing that tier. So you would have to listen to this show first off. So I guess the scenario is you are extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
Or you. No. Okay. No. I guess there's two scenarios. You are extremely wealthy. You happen to turn on this podcast, and you think it's so bad. It is bad for the world.
Yeah.
So you give us that money to stop.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's the most likely path to this occurring.
Right. The other scenario is somebody loves us so much that they scrape and claw for $1.5 million and they kill it so that they don't have to share it with anyone else.
Yeah.
Those are the only two scenarios in which I could see it happening.
They love it so much they want it. I see. Yeah. Family Annihilator style. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a third there. I assume our listeners are all plugged into high society across the country, are attractive and wealthy and successful, or run in circles of highly successful people. I assume everyone out there listening now it's 100% that. And so they just simply turn to the left and say, Muffy, do you think we should please reach in your wallet and I've got a fancy, and they'll just kill the podcast.
Just as a game.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, email us your net worth and your salary to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. Also, the city you live in. I think that'd be helpful.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
But yeah, we're conducting a survey.
This is stuff that we need to know, and we will sell that information.
I wouldn't even know how to do that.
I think we have a mutual friend that might be interested in that information.
Oh, we do, yeah. Friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Hambone, welcome to the Ides of January. How you feeling here in January? We have just passed what people call the baseball solstice. Are you familiar with this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I mean, using context clues, I can get there. Yeah.
We are exactly the halfway point between, or this, like 2 days ago, was exactly the halfway point between Game 7 of the World Series and opening day. So we are now on the other side of...
So it was the longest day of no baseball. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think when this episode comes out, it's under a month until pitchers
burping while trying to talk or whatever's going on right now.
Just had a bit of an air situation. I don't know what it was. I think it's 26 days or so until pitchers and catchers report when this ep drops. So it's happening.
We're almost there. But another quick important topic, I'm sure you've seen the news. There are apparently monkeys loose in St. Louis, and I've been quite surprised because here I thought you and Mary left.
Wow. This is news to me. I did not know
that
there were monkeys loose in St. Louis. No, I did not see this.
It's all the news.
I'm not plugged into the St. Louis local monkey escape news.
In 1 week, we've gotten there's 4 monkeys loose in St. Louis, and a goat also was loose.
Can a goat be? I mean, a goat. I don't know.
I think the goat was apprehended quite quickly, but the monkeys are at large.
A goat being loose is like a dog got out.
Yeah.
A monkey being, what kind of monkeys?
They're I don't know what they are. They're like little. They look like capuchin type monkeys. The little guys that like have long white beards and walk around on their hind legs.
Yeah,
those kind of guys.
Terrifying. Yeah, a bunch of Santa Claus ass monkeys. There's a movie that is either out or it's about to come out, and it's called Primate. And it's about a chimpanzee named Ben, which I find to be problematic, that kills, or it looks like he's killing his owners in the trailer. Chimpanzees are absolutely fucking terrifying. These Santa-ass monkeys, I feel like they're probably chill.
I assume they're up to hijinks. But there's been a couple funny things where people are making like AI, AI slop of them hanging out with the monkeys, like the monkeys getting into stuff. Like it's a whole thing in St. Louis social media. And apparently it's legitimately hindering the authorities' abilities to locate the monkeys, which is such a wonderful side effect of AI that I don't think any of us really saw coming. No. Local authorities struggle to find loose monkeys because of AI slop is a cool problem.
So does this imply that like some guy posts a picture of him like barbecuing with the monkeys and the police are like, we got to chase down that lead?
So I think essentially yes. It's like you can't tell if the picture someone posted of the monkey is real. I mean, there's certainly ones that are more real versus other ones, but if you're bombarded with tons of pictures of these monkeys, it's certainly going to slow down, even if some of them are very clearly, big bowl of goofaroonie. But there's
I like this story. This is good. But the only thing I can really think to say is that our world is bad.
There's so much bullshit going on right now. And there's also 4 monkeys lost in St. Louis. There's also a headline like the authorities are like, hey, there will be no charges if you return these monkeys. Whoever turns in the monkeys will not face prosecution for having monkeys or anything like that. Which
you never believe that one though. I wouldn't believe that for a second.
Well, yeah, I love that we're showing more, clemency and more to those people than other things that are happening right now. But
I was gonna say, how did those monkeys get in the country? Do they have documentation?
That's a great point. What is ICE doing about these monkeys right now?
God.
You mentioned movies, Hambone. Did you see? I have another data point in my take that Avatar is the biggest movie with no cultural impact. Zoe Saldana, now the highest grossing actor of all time.
Right.
I bet if you put a picture of Zoe Saldana in front of like 100 people, a large percentage of people would not know who she is.
This is a bullshit take because of her. Where most of that money comes from is the Avengers movies, which her face is painted green, and she's like a biomechanical fucking space ninja thingy. I don't know, whatever her role is in the Avengers movies. And then in the Avatar movies, she is made up. It's all 3D imaging. She's made up to look like a 10-foot tall blue person.
I'm just saying, like, the highest grossing actor of all time, and like no one really knows who she is.
It is funny that she is like one of the most beautiful people alive, and the two things that she's most famous for make her look completely different.
Completely. It's like I saw Karen, it's all Marvel movies and Avatar have basically broken that chart because Karen Gillan is a similar thing. She's like as far as actresses go, she's like number 5 highest grossing all time film actress, and it's like she's a like green shaved head crazy person.
With like a robot arm.
Yeah, in that movie too.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like I get what you're saying, but I reject it. It's not her fault. I mean, what point are you trying to make? I'm not picking
that
it
if
up.
Avatar had true cultural breakthrough, even though she plays a big blue monster or whale or whatever she is in the movie, is she the mighty Tolkien? Is that what's going on here? I'm just trying to make you mad.
So stupid.
If it was really like a cultural breakthrough, despite the fact that she's a big blue monster in it, like everyone would still know who she is.
I think a better example is that there have been 2-3 hour movies that have grossed like over $1 billion. And I bet most people don't know what a Tolkien is. And it's like a core piece of the two movie. So I think that's a better example than picking on poor Zoe Saldana.
I don't think she's got anything to worry about. I think she might actually be fine with this whole thing, like to be the highest grossing actor of all time and probably
incognito.
Yeah, like I'm sure, anyone who's into films and stuff knows who she is, but I bet she can like go to dinner at a place and not just be completely bombarded. Right. Unlike like Scarlett Johansson, who she usurped, is like a household face.
Yeah, and she's not running a niche sports podcast, and obviously Nate and I can't do anything. Can't go out.
It's tough.
I can't go out for noodles without somebody pulling me to the
side.
And
I'm always trying to go out for noodles. I went out.
We got a new noodle restaurant just opened up right down the street from us. I'm very excited.
We went to Miley, my favorite restaurant in St. Louis, and I know you're a big fan of it as well. We went on Saturday, got some noodles. Went over to Best Buy, looked at TVs. Has there been any major news in St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah, come on now. Jesus Christ. You hit the record button a while ago. Come on now.
Yeah. All right, we actually have a packed show. This offseason, I was feeling, like yesterday, I was really feeling a like lack of baseball. Like I just cannot wait for there to be games again, an actual, like the offseason is starting to get to me as far as the actual game goes. But you can't deny that as a Cardinal fan, they've like done a great job of just dripping out these major trades. Like we've had basically something to talk about almost every week as far as the Cardinals go this offseason. And finally, after a year and a half, the big move, the one we've all been waiting for, has finally happened.
Right.
It kind of sprang up on us yesterday. There was news that a deal was maybe getting close, and then suddenly Nolan Arenado no longer a St. Louis Cardinal.
Yeah.
We can go into the deal and all that, but I did kind of just want to start by saying, like, we wanted this, I wanted this. You and I have been lamenting the fact that this hadn't happened already. It should have happened last year. We have gone over that over and over. We don't need to replay that. All that is true, and I still feel that way. I'm glad this is done. But my initial reaction was I was sad. I was sad to see that it actually happened. It's finally happened. And I am sad that Nolan Arenado is not going to be a St. Louis Cardinal anymore, even though I know it's the right choice and the smart choice. We just may never have in our lifetimes a third baseman like Nolan Arenado on this team again. And though it ended poorly, some of the most fun I've had as a St. Louis Cardinal fan in the last decade has been when Arenado was, having some of the best seasons of his career, 2021 and 2022 as a St. Louis Cardinal. So I was bummed, even though I'm glad that it's all finally over.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I actually felt a sense of relief. Like I felt a sense of relief for me. I felt a sense of relief for like just how the roster is going to look. I felt a sense of relief for Nolan Arenado because like how he is borderline Hall of Famer. It depends on how, I think he ends his career, but probably get my vote right now. He's arguably the best third baseman of the last decade. I think it's not even close. He's the best third baseman of the last decade. And for him to kind of have article after article written about him about like, how can the Cardinals jettison Nolan Arenado? Yeah. Well, they're going to have to pay somebody to take him and yada, yada, yada. I'm really happy that it's over, that we don't have to talk about it anymore, that Nolan doesn't have to think about it anymore. I think that where he landed is like almost as perfect as it can possibly get.
Absolutely. I think we talk about that for sure.
So I felt a sense of relief because I feel like it's just been this like bubble of tension that has just been growing and growing and growing, and then it finally popped. So yeah, that I get where you're coming from. There is like this part of it of like, I don't think trading a Hall of Fame, there's almost never is trading a Hall of Famer a good idea. Or a guy who's a potential Hall of Famer a good idea. And we have seen in the past 4 or 5 years, we've seen a lot of Hall of Famer or potential Hall of Famers leave the Cardinals, mostly because of their aging and becoming ineffective.
Yeah.
It's still not fun. You sit here and you look at the Cardinals roster, and I think you and I agree that Brendan Donovan's probably going to be gone pretty soon. I think the oldest player on the team at that point is Riley O'Brien, and your seasoned veteran is Newt Barr. Like,
I guess, yeah.
As far as like from a games played standpoint, so yeah, it's going to be
Burley,
it's maybe. Weird. Yeah, I would guess Newt Barr would be over Burley, but we can look this up.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I said, I felt kind of a sense of relief. I'm glad that it's over. And I think that it's going to work out very well for both teams and Nato specifically.
So I do agree with you. And that is the overwhelming feeling that I had. But I'm just like I was surprised. It's part of the reason I wanted to bring it up on the show. I was even surprised myself, like, because we've been wanting this for a while. And so I was a little surprised when I was like, I was just a little sad. Like, all right. By Arenado,
who's provided the most memorable Cardinals moments over the past 5 years?
Yeah,
it's been Nolan pretty much exclusively. Him and Paulie.
Yeah, like what could have been, the 2022 season, which ended poorly, but featured MVP, and Nolan was second or third in that. So.
He got third, and I was looking at the numbers before we hopped on. He probably should have won.
He could have. If you remember the time, people were worried that it was going to split, that him and Goldie were going to split, as far as people were like, I'll just vote for a Cardinal, and no one was going to win it. I think it was like, what do you value more, the pure offensive output or the combination of that with his elite defense and, Chicks dig the long ball and all that, and ultimately Goldie won, which was deserved too. They both it was just like equally deserving, and the voters leaned on the pure offensive side of things, which is not uncommon. But he absolutely could have won, and that was ultimately like a crazy season. Pujols, all of that, and then Goldie, Pujols, and Arenado go 3 for 22 in the series against the Phillies. And
I can't believe you remember that off the top of your head.
I did not remember. I did not remember
tissue.
it off the top of my head. I read it very recently.
Okay.
But I was at that game. I was at the last game. It was Yachty and Yachty and Pujols' last game as well, and all that. So anyway, end of an era. I know you've got some numbers here of Arenado's. We talked about this a little bit in the game we did last week too, as far as like the most impactful player of the first half of 2020 of the 2020s was Nolan Arenado, and it almost wasn't close, especially if you after Goldie, it's like a huge cliff between Arenado and everybody else. So what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the deal, or do you want to go over, continue to talk a little bit more about Arenado's sort of legacy as a Cardinal?
Yeah, let's hit that first, and then we can talk about the actual deal that got this done. Nolan Arenado played 708 games with the Cardinals. He put up a 112 WRC plus, 118 homers. He was an all-star 3 times. He won 2 Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, and then we were just talking about his third place MVP finish, which he arguably could have won. I think it's important just to note that, like, his last year, 2025, was not a great year for Nolan. His WRC plus slipped below 100. Just everything kind of looked bad. But outside of that, he really had a strong Cardinals tenure. He was great defensively almost the entire time. You know, we talked about like the bat speed issues and the pop ups and you know his tendency to pull and maybe swing too much and those kinds of things. But really, when you look at those 708 games, he was a great player and he put up numbers and he was, you know, and he was an aging superstar and he was doing exactly what you expect an aging superstar to be, to do. So I just think it's important to, it's always weird. Like when a guy, like there's so many players this happens to, you get soured on them by the time they're leaving. We've talked about how like the Cardinals' last 5 years without Miles Michaelis would have been god fucking awful, but it does, you know, it's hard to look back on that part of him. And I think it's a lot easier to do that with Nolan. It was only 1 year of kind of him fading.
Being truly unvaluable. I mean, 2024 was also a big decline year, but you know, you could argue is like, well, he was still, he was not the major problem of the 2024 year. 2025, like he was a core, a core issue with the team.
Yeah. Which he was an above league average player, every other year.
Yeah, exactly. He also missed that weekend series because he refused to get the vaccine,
which, you know, isn't there going to be like we're all going to die at some point?
Yeah.
When that goes on?
He didn't get it because he wanted to have kids, even though his wife was already pregnant at that time. But yeah, it's cool. But whatever. It's in the past. Ultimately,
his body, his choice.
I was thinking about this. Like, let's assume he is a Hall of Famer. He's still, I mean, you never know, but he might spend another 5 years in this league, if not more. Seems unlikely, but you know, he's the type of guy that you could see still going for it into his 40s. He's going to obviously need to bounce back in order for that to happen. But I remember when he got traded to the Cardinals and then he had those seasons, the Cardinals made the playoffs, et cetera. It was like Nolan's entering the Hall of Fame as a Cardinal was the vibe and the desire at that time. Is that ship sailed? Do you think he's a Rocky future Hall of Famer or a no hat kind of guy?
And if he wins a World Series with the Diamondbacks, which I do think the Diamondbacks are good.
Yeah.
I don't think they're like a favorite or anything like that, but I could see it happening a lot more likely than the last few Cardinals teams. If he wins a World Series with the Diamondbacks, I think it's Diamondbacks. Outside of that, I think it's Rockies.
Yeah.
I think, like if he would have won the MVP, maybe it would have been different. If the Cardinals would have went deeper into the playoffs, maybe it would have been different. But it's just not the longest tenure, and just there's a couple of really great years and then a few fine years, and I don't think if he does have that day, I would be very surprised if the Cardinals are the first team on his mind, unless like he obviously liked it here. I know everybody was always weird about how he was reacting to things. I think Nolan is kind of just a weird guy. Maybe he just liked it. Maybe he liked it here more than we were putting it on him. But my guess is Rockies, and then if he wins.
Yeah. And I certainly think like this whole media cycle and the very public, essentially like dumping of him to a team like does sour the legacy as a Cardinal. I could see him being a Cardinal Hall of Famer. It's a short tenure, but the impact was high enough. And as a future Hall of Famer, he probably gets into the Cardinal Hall of Fame, which would be interesting. I wonder how much he ends up participating in all the activities, if he ends up being like a Rocky Hall of Famer too or something like that. Do the Rockies have a do they do that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
They do it. I almost said we do it.
There's like 2 or 3 people in it. Walker,
Helton, Walker, and
Ian Desmond.
No. No, it can't be it.
Tulo?
Tulo he's not yet. Is it just? I'll have to look that up.
That one
I will tell you,
season of
when Peyton
Ubaldo
Manning
Jimenez.
comes to the games, that's the biggest pop.
Yeah. Trevor Story. Big bounce back year.
Yeah, no, it is just those two guys.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that is it.
What a legacy.
Wow, Andre Scalaraga. I thought he would maybe. No, he's not in there either. So yeah, just Helton and Walker.
Okay. So interesting legacy. I do think in time it will be remembered pretty fondly, even if everyone right now is kind of sour on the situation. It's crazy how quickly things turn. It was after 2022 was when he had that opportunity to opt out, and the general consensus was that if he opts out, he could go and get $300 million on the open market right now. He had just come off of a monster year, was 30 or whatever, and people thought he'd get a 10-year, $300 million contract or something like that, and probably would have. Like, the vibe was there, and he
cost himself a ton of money.
Yeah, by choosing to stay with the St. Louis Cardinals, and that was revered. It was what every fan wants to hear. I like this team so much. I like this city so much. I'm going to take less money to stay here. It's the thing, we Cardinal fans hold our fan base in a high regard, often like to a degree that is kind of annoying. But then every once in a while, something like that happens. You're like, there's obviously some truth to the vibe of playing in St. Louis, or at least there was in 2022.
And as somebody that goes to a lot of Rockies games, I mean, I have to imagine playing 80 games in front of in Coors Field, and oftentimes the other team's fans outweigh your home team's fans, and having the complete reverse of that at Busch Stadium for many years, that has to be fun. It just has to be more fun. And I'm sure he appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, we'll go on to the deal now, because he's been traded to another NL team. So he will be back in Busch. I haven't looked at it yet, but it'll happen very quickly.
He's gonna be back in Coors quite a bit too. So I'm gonna get some Natto time.
Yeah.
I'll get to hang out with him. But yeah, let's see. Yeah. The Cardinals announced Tuesday that they traded Nolan Arenado and cash to the Diamondbacks, the Butts'n'cracks.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is the in this house we call them the Butts'n'cracks. So let's make sure we keep that going.
In exchange for minor league right-hander Jack Martinez, who was Arizona's 8th round pick in the 2025 draft, the Diamondbacks are reportedly on the hook for a total of $11 million of the remaining $42 million owed to Arenado over the next 2 seasons. The Cardinals owe the remaining $31 million, and I believe $5 million of that is being paid by my Colorado Rockies. So some kind of complicated accounting, but Nolan Arenado obviously still getting paid because that's guaranteed. Cardinals shelling out $31 million. I think the Cardinals' total money shipped out to other teams for other players to be gone is what are we looking at, like 50 something million?
Yeah, divided over a couple years, because it's between Gray, Arenado, and Wilson. They've committed to something like $51 million. How that breaks out over this year versus the next year, I'm not quite sure, but it's that much money, however you slice and dice it, which we've given the Cardinals organization and the DeWitt family a lot of shit over the years for the lack of spending.
Mm-hmm.
And I think rightfully so. How they've spent their money, how far they've been willing to go, etc., has been worthy of criticism. So to be fair to them, I am glad that they are making the smart choice here in spending the money to let these players play somewhere else. There are certainly some owners who would not do that. So it has at least been good to see them make this sort of money decision, because this is the most beneficial thing for the team. And that's just good to see. So I want to make sure to give credit where credit is due in that regard.
I'll pass the credit to the Bloom and Goons in the
Yeah.
front office, because it seems like either Heim has a superpower or is wildly convincing or whatever. However, he has changed the Cardinals' ownership to think about money spent, player acquisition, and just being as efficient as possible. Clearly is working. I don't think that there are many teams in baseball, many owners in baseball at all, that would allow their GM, Pobo, whatever, to ship out players and cash at this level all at the same time, even with the understanding that a rebuild is in the works. And
Yeah.
so I think huge credit to him and his team for being able to convince ownership that this is the smartest way to spend their money. That they are allowing themselves to invest in the product in the future. And I'm also very curious, like, once we get a lot of money off the books here in the next couple of years, the team is hopefully going to be young and promising. Is Chaim Bloom also going to be able to convince the DeWallet to open up to go acquire those big free agents that are kind of the icing on the cake when your competitive window opens back up? Obviously, it remains to be seen, but I think a huge amount of credit to them.
Yeah.
I guess, and I'll give it to you too. Like what you're saying, amount of credit should be awarded to the or for the ownership group for listening, and Heim for getting them on the page. You and I both agree that this is a smart way to move the team forward.
Well, and thank you for briefly making it sound like you were giving me personally credit for this too. But I think,
did I?
Well, you said I'll give credit to you.
Okay.
I think if you also take the DeWitts at their word, they said at least that the message sent by the rapidly dwindling attendance at Busch Stadium was heard. And I think that's good. It should have been heard. And I am glad that fans made that decision. And I'm glad that it's a bummer that that's what it takes. But at least the message seemingly was heard. And I agree with you. The big next step, the big next shoe to drop to see if this team or if this ownership group actually is fully committed to winning in the way that they say, is if this budget will go back up to a top 10 team when the time is right with the right player acquisition. I'm fine with them not making a major purchase this offseason. You could argue we don't know exactly what we need yet, so buying a very expensive player may turn out to be the wrong guy, something like that. I think there's at least logical reasons. I think there's counter arguments to all that, and there's guys on the market right now that would absolutely improve this team. But if they want to wait and see how this pitching group develops, how this infield group develops, or maybe they like a certain guy that's entering the market in a year or two that they'd rather save for, like there's all, all of that is reasonable. But if they don't start spending when this team is seemingly on the cusp of competition, that will be deeply frustrating, and we'll go back to yelling at the DeWitts. But I got to, to be fair, I'm a positive fan. The Cardinals have had a high budget in the past. I don't think it was appropriately allocated, but the money was there. And so I have enjoyed what the Bloom and Goons have been doing all off season. So my faith is maintained that we're in the right direction. And I'm looking forward to when we get to the point of spending big money again on somebody at some point.
I wonder if fans will show up for JJ Weatherhold and Mason Wynn and Ivan Herrera and Alec Burleson. Like, I wonder if people will be, because there's direction, because the front office has been clear with the fans and the expectations are in the right spot. I wonder if fans will be more willing to show up like as soon as next year. My gut says probably not.
Yeah, I could see
but the Cardinals salary is going to be drastically lower this year.
I think, yes. I expect that the attendance will remain lower, but the general vibe around that lower attendance is going to be very different in time as this message is communicated. because like last year is like, why the hell would I go? These guys suck, and they did nothing to improve the team, and they're bad. Who didn't see that coming? It was like, you talk to any Cardinal fan, and it was like they suck. This is a bad team, that sort of thing. After May, with our brief time when we all thought the team was good. And I think if the team communicates well and continues to push the message, you'll be like, it's hopefully we'll have a vibe of a rebuilding and exciting future, but there'll still be a bunch of people who are like, well, I'll go when they're good again. I'm not so into baseball that I'm looking forward to going and watching a losing game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably it. If I was living in St. Louis, this would be a season I'd be very excited to attend a bunch of baseball games. And I'm sure they'll be cheap, which will be nice.
We'll see about that.
You're probably right.
The stadium, I wonder if they'll adjust concession prices and stuff. We've seen some new features, new things like the $5 corner or whatever it is. Like, I wonder if they'll do more of that to try to get people in the ballpark as
they should.
Affordability maintains a center discussion in our country right now. So I want to talk about the landing spot. I don't think we need to go too far on this, but I think you already said it, and I agree completely. Arguably the best place for Arenado to land. Significant ballpark upgrade, going into a pretty good offense, and a team that is competing. To what degree? You could argue they still need some improvements, but certainly more likely to compete than the St. Louis Cardinals. And I think we'll slot right in and like be a good. I think his defense will carry, and if there's any place for him to go and hit 25 home runs again, feels like Chase Park is the place to be. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a pretty good season out of Arenado.
Yeah, I think it's the 5th easiest ballpark for right-handed hitters to hit homers in, so that's obviously good news for him. Also, I think a little change of scenery is going to be really nice for him. He's also the, I don't know, 5th best player on the team.
Yeah.
Like, there are the expectation, like, he just needs to come in, play steady defense, and hit around a 100 WRC plus, and they're going to be extremely happy.
Yeah.
I also think that, like, there's been some weird conversations around Ketel Marte, and I do wonder, even though that Nolan isn't a traditional leadership type of guy, I do wonder bringing in a guy who has the kind of respect that Nolan does will kind of just help steer the ship a little bit. Yeah. And you would think that, as he's in this phase of his career, he leans into that. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think the Arizona pitching staff is going to really like it. It is curious, like, just from an Arizona standpoint, like, what are they doing with Jordan Lawler? Is he on bust watch? Is Jordan Lawler not going to happen? That was the only thing that was really surprising about the Diamondbacks acquiring him.
Well,
acquiring Arenado.
Yeah, I mean, but the fact is they're paying Arenado $6 million in 2026 and $5 million in 2027. Like,
yeah, it's pretty easy.
It's about as low risk, and we'll talk about what we got back in the trade. But this was about as low risk as you could get for adding a guy like Arenado. And so if the Diamondbacks have to bench Arenado, it's not a big deal for them. It's not benching your $30 million cornerstone. It's benching the $5 million guy you got in a salary dump deal,
Right.
So I think for a competitive team, it just made a ton of sense. Incredibly low risk. I'd say, low risk, moderate reward. I don't think anybody's predicting him to go back to what he was in the past. But like you said, 100 WRC plus with some bombs and good defense, like that is championship teams have that, and if it fails, it's a lot easier to deal with.
I'm not saying go pick Nolan Arenado up on your fantasy team or anything like that, but I do think he's going to have a better year than he had with the Cardinals. I think the offensive environment is a huge part of that.
Well, he has Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte in front of him. Like, it is just an inherently better, and again, not hitting in Bush and all that. Everything about this is better for him.
I think it's going to work out well. And I have a clear rooting interest in the NL West now, obviously outside of the Rockies, but
Right.
I'll be pulling for the Butts'n'cracks for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about the return. The Cardinals got the Butts'n'cracks 8th round pick in 2025, Jack Martinez. Which I saw someone say, if you how do they put it? If you put every baseball name into like a blender and asked it to kick out the median baseball name, Jack Martinez might be exactly that.
There was no doubt he is a baseball player. He is a man that plays baseball.
Yeah, it is the average baseball player name, Jack Martinez. He is a pitcher. What do we know about Mr. Martinez?
Yeah, I'll read post-trade Baseball America. I'm just going to kind of regurgitate what they said. He's 22 years old. He's a right-hander. He's a big boy, 6'4", 215. Martinez sits around 93, 95 as a starter. He can touch 97. He struggled to command his fastball, and he's shown a better feel for spotting a low 80 slider and a 78 to 82 mile per hour changeup. Martinez could be a back-end starter in pro ball if his control improves, but he's more likely to profile as a pro reliever. I think what is really amazing about this trade is that you got somebody to take Nolan Arenado. You obviously had to spend quite a bit of money, but you got a guy in Jack Martinez who might actually, seems like he has a decent chance to make a major league roster at some point. And I'm not sure I really thought that was going to be on the table. This guy's got really, he hasn't pitched a pitch in pro ball yet. For Arizona State, he pitched 77 innings and had an almost 13 K per nine. ERA was big. The FIP wasn't as big. He's a big guy that strikes people out. I think that there's no rush to get Jack Martinez to the major leagues. So you hopefully let the development team get their paws on him, maybe fix something. And it seems like he's a guy that's going to be on the big league roster at some point. So I think that alone is like a huge win. A+. Good job, Cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little surprised as well. Like you said, I mean, there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. This guy may never make it to the majors at all. But I was really expecting like a fringy high A lefty, crafty guy who was going to have to wheel and deal his way for 5 years to make it into the majors, So getting like a college arm that has a big body, big frame, all the physical makeup you want from a guy like this who seems to have at least a skill set was a little surprising. And like you said, you cannot, and I think we talk about like Kyle says this a lot, like just making the majors is the most unlikely thing in the world, right? And so when we talk about these like middle relievers and stuff like that, like they are some of the best athletes in the world if they've made it to the majors. And if this guy projects as a real chance to do that, like that is kind of better than I thought we were going to get. So it only cost the Cardinals $31 million to get him. Apparently the Padres were also like, it seemed like this was going to happen. Like Heim had gotten enough going. Arenado was about to be moved. The Padres were in on it as well, which is interesting. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but they wanted him to play first base, and it was the financials that ultimately did it. I think the Padres wanted the Cardinals to pay basically the full salary, and the Diamondbacks were willing to pay a little bit of his salary. So hopefully Jack makes the majors. I mean, the real point of this trade obviously is not the return. It's simply having third base open now, which is really the thing. And the $11 million they did save $11 million, which can get you another reliever or maybe that right-handed bat that we've been talking about. Like, it's not nothing. It's not a lot in baseball money, but it's not nothing. 11 million can be spent better elsewhere. So I think this is ultimately, for everyone involved, a very successful trade. Diamondbacks, Butts'n'cracks, Cardinals, Arenado, everybody wins. I guess we'll see about Jack Martinez, but everybody else is a clear winner in this situation. So good job, Heim.
Yeah, there's a very real chance we never talk about Jack Martinez again. But yeah, I'm happy with it. So I think that leads us to talk about like what that means for the Cardinals. And I think, we were talking about this in the Bird Scored earlier today. I think there's some consensus that probably Nolan Gorman is your starting third baseman.
Yeah.
With probably some combination of Fermin and Sajaci picking up starts maybe against tough lefties or just on days where they don't want Gorman out there. But this is probably the pathway to Gorman's 400 at bat, 500 at bat season with a majority of those being at third base.
Yeah, full final run at it. I think let's assume he's still here, which would obviously undercut all of that. But the Cardinals are not going to release Nolan Gorman. If he is not traded, he will be a player for the team next year. And I don't think it makes any sense to do anything other than if you have him, give him a full run at third base. We kind of got that last year, but it was a month and a half, and we all know it didn't go great. But but if you're going to do it, if you're going to keep him, then we need to get one last real look, and I think you start him as your third baseman going in. The only way I think that's not the case is if they end up keeping Brendan Donovan and decide, fuck it, JJ's a starter. In which case, you would have Donovan at second and JJ at third, or vice versa, but probably that way. And Gorman is just a bench bat, or at that point, you're looking at the market to move him. Gorman just doesn't make sense to me as a bench bat, as a pinch hitter type guy. Like I understand there's that is the profile of some guys like that, but I don't think his approach makes a lot of sense for that. And I'd rather see him either as a starter who we make a final decision on, or just move him.
Yeah. It's been 2 years since Gorman's put up a WRC plus over 100. The last 2 years have been weird for various reasons. But I do think there's something to, you're our third baseman. Let's see what you got. Just go out there and, there's no one pushing you off this. I'm very confident. I feel very strongly that Brendan Donovan is going to get moved.
Yeah.
Maybe before, in between now and next episode. I think it's going to happen soon. But you can't imagine Sajaci or Fermin are pushing Gorman off that. JJ Weatherholt, I think you'd prefer to have that athleticism in the middle of the infield. And obviously, shortstop is taken up right now. So second base makes all of the sense for him. But yeah, I agree. And it would be really, 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 really great if he had a nice season. It would be. We've seen it before. He had 27 home runs 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. At this point, there's juice in that bat.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It would be really, really, really great. I'll just say that one more time.
Yeah, I've been torn on it. Like I'm a pretty big fan of Gorman and a pretty big believer in it. But I think if your take on him is, come on, Ben just said he's been bad for 2 years. What are we doing here? I understand that also. I think my point is just if the Cardinals are making the decision to keep him, then he should just start until he's not, and then we're done, and there's nothing else. But if we end up learning in a week they've decided to include him in a package to trade him, then I understand that too.
Yeah. It's I'm curious to see what he looks like defensively. Prepping for this, like being this guy, not being a second baseman anymore. And he made some improvements last year. He increased his walk rate. He decreased his strikeout rate. He did some things. So we'll see how it all comes together.
Yeah. Okay. So there was another move.
Yes. Much less exciting, but it is a move.
Exciting. We were going to end up talking about the bullpen for a half an hour on this episode today, but instead we'll spend 3 minutes on it. The Cardinals have signed Ryan Stanek. Who is a known name. He is closed at times in his career. But hasn't really been very successful for a couple years now. Small deal, $3.5 million, which I think was the exact same they paid for Phil Maton. And
something like that.
it's essentially the exact same thing we're looking at here. There's a guy who's been successful at the major leagues before, has struggled recently, is on a 1-year deal. If it clicks, great. Look what we did with Phil Maton. If not, all right, it's fine.
Yep.
We have had this conversation about the bullpen and the Cardinals' approach to signing guys for the bullpen 24 times in the last 3 years, and this is another version of that. Another dart throw, another guy. Maybe he's our veteran. This is our veteran, Ben.
He is 34 years old, which is good. He posts, Nate. He posts. He has thrown over 50 innings since 2021. Obviously didn't do that in 2020. The guy doesn't get hurt. He throws, his average fastball velocity is 98 miles per hour. And what else do you want? He throws hard and he shows up. What else do you want? Hey, it's a real lunch pail type of guy, if you know what I'm saying.
He's the St. Louis guy too.
Is he really? I actually didn't know that.
Well, of course. I'm surprised you haven't heard it half a dozen times.
I'm also surprised.
But yeah, so it makes sense. Again, like I said, he's been a closer before, so he's done it.
He's got bad hair. It's very stringy, but it's not easy.
You gotta look out for a bad hair.
But this guy will be a major leaguer the entire season. Is my guess.
Well, yeah. The hope is obviously he's in the pile of our 1-year deals that we really, really hope we're trading him and Dustin May for a huge return on July 31st to support 27 and beyond.
Right. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Ryan Stanek?
Nope. It would just be saying the same thing we've said a dozen times already. Okay. The Cardinals also signed Bruce Zimmerman to a minor league deal. What do we know about Bruce Zimmerman?
He has been in the minor leagues with various teams since 2017. He has scratched major league rosters a couple of times. He is a major league, minor league, fringy starting pitcher that doesn't really have exciting stuff, and is going to be 31 this next baseball season. So, he is he's back, he's on the pile. He's a guy.
Yeah, it's depth. I think it was said in the bird score to maybe Jake, this is your Drew Rom. This is your 4 of our starters are hurt. The season is in shambles, and we need a guy to go up there and get through 5 innings and just get us through this game. The not really the upside there, but he's gonna pitch, and he'll pitch for a while.
He doesn't walk people.
Yeah,
he's got good command numbers throughout his entire minor league career. But yeah, he's a lefty, and he kind of throws a bit of salad up there. It's just not much to be excited about.
Yeah. Yep. So a big week though for the Cardinals as far as like transactions go, and we're all still on Brendan Donovan watch. We've been getting reporting that the Giants are heavy on a second baseman, notably Brendan Donovan, potentially Nico Horner. We know the Mariners are still looking potentially at Brendan Donovan. There was a moment where the Red Sox were, it's been reported are looking for a second baseman. The Nico Horner of it all adds a little bit of, potential problems.
Can you help me I'm really not understanding that. I get it. Like you acquire Alex Bregman. We'll talk about that deal in a little bit later. That moves Matt Shaw to the bench. And so people are saying that Nico Horner is maybe available. The Cubs are clearly trying to win right now. Trading Nico would seem crazy to me. So I don't understand the thought process here.
I think that there had been existing rumors about the Cubs trading Nico. I think last offseason they had talked about trading him. So there'd already been, the pump has been primed a little bit to discuss trading Nico Hoerner. And I think that what Cubs fans would like to see the Cubs do is something akin to what we see the Brewers do, and who are actively, apparently, shopping Freddie Peralta, despite
also crazy to me, but yeah.
We've seen like it.
I know.
There is long-term smart strategy to this. If you trade the guy in the last year of his contract to support like, I saw it put this way for the Cubs. If you are a team who can afford to go and buy replacements on the open market, then the smartest thing to do is to trade your guys in their last year of control for maximum return, and then just fill the hole with money on the open market. So you could argue that would be the exact thing they do if they are able to flip Nico Hoerner for a legitimate return. They bought Alex Bregman, and then they have Matt Shaw when he's in between his speaking engagements. He can play second base for them. And assuming the return for Nico is good and maybe something that helps them with like their pitching or something like that, then it could be a real boon for them. But I think it has to be the perfect deal. I imagine they are not actively like, sometimes teams are like, we're trading this guy and we'll get what we can get. I imagine they're like, we will trade him if we get blown out of the water. And I don't think that they will be. I think that your point is the counterpoint to all that. A team who's in win now mode does not trade Nico Hoerner. And so you just keep him. You assume someone will get hurt and Matt Shaw will be there when he's needed. And that'll all work out one way or another. And Matt Shaw will take over for Nico at second base in 2027.
He had a really nice year last year. He's arguably the best defensive player on the team. If Dansby goes down, he could be your shortstop. It just, you trade for Edward Cabrera, you bring in Alex Bregman. It just is, it does not make sense to me. But so anyways, to the Donovan of it all, I think it's extremely likely that Donovan gets traded very soon.
Yeah.
I think that Nico Hoerner is not a legitimate trade candidate, or I would be very surprised if he moves. And it really seems like the article, or sorry, what was linked today was that the Mariners are interested in Donnie and Jojo Romero, and start to wonder if a package deal might happen there, and what the Mariners could give up. We've talked about what those returns might look like, but tell you, I'm refreshing while we're on this call today, just to make sure that we don't miss anything.
Man, I really, unless it's Bryce Eldridge from the Giants, which you and I talked about last week or the week before, I'm really hoping it's with the Mariners. Their set of prospects. I'm not a big Weisenhunt fan. Like some of these fringy starters on the Giants that people are talking about, I don't think are worth trading Donovan. I'd rather wait and get better value, but the Mariners have a whole slew of guys that I'd be pretty excited if the Cardinals were able to get, as long as it's a bunch of them. We've talked about that whole package already, but adding in JoJo too, you're like, okay, like we got to get something good from that.
Yeah. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. So who knows? That might be our whole episode next week, like the Arenado trade was this week. But Heim's getting it done. Bloom and Goons are getting it done. We are in full rebuild, my dude. It is is happening. I think at some point we need to what is a realistic expectation for this team's return to its competitive window? I think that'd be an interesting way to look at things and talk about aging curves and stuff like that. Maybe we do that for a future episode because I don't know, is 2027 reasonable? Maybe it's 28. Hopefully it's not all the way up to 29, but we'll see.
I think it is. What is your pitching? What do your young pitchers look like?
Yeah.
And is if Quinn Matthews and Liam Doyle can just jump into the big leagues and be effective, we might be good real quick.
It escalates. Yeah. Yep. Or if Brandon Clark actually clicks and is what he could be, the whole timeline changes,
Yeah.
But as others have pointed out, if we trade Brendan Donovan, we've been talking about the pitching all day or forever. position player group isn't looking too hot right now either. Unless we get some real bounce backs and some real breakouts, So they got a lot of work to do, but there's
I agree. I do think dreaming on Wynn, Weatherholt, and Burley
and
is
Herrera,
a fine place to start.
And Herrera
is a fine place to start.
I agree.
It is not. I wouldn't bet any money on that, but I'm okay watching that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that'll cover our Cardinal discussion today, but we still want to talk about some league news and do a little game. But before we do that, we want to remind our listeners that this show is listener supported on Patreon. Patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds, where you can find access to all the different tiers and everything. But it starts as low as $2 a month, and that gets you access to really the primary benefits, which is access to our private Discord server. It's the Bird Score. You hear us talk about it all the time. It's been popping today, and as the Arenado trade and all that, like, just a really good place to go and talk to other Cardinal fans and listeners of the show and actually have like a real discussion about what's going on with the Cardinals. And you also, if you're into this, get access to early episodes. Usually have it out by Wednesday night, sometimes earlier. So talkingaboutbirds.com has that link, or patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. We also appreciate anyone who takes the time to leave us a review on their favorite podcast platform and also tells their friends. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
We got the socials. Check us out on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. You can watch this episode on YouTube by going to YouTube and looking for us. You can do all of those things. We have social media. You can find all of that information, links to the podcast, T-shirts, all that kind of crap at talkingaboutbirds.com. That's talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us, talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
Yeah, we had someone call and leave a voicemail the other day with a really mean opening bit regarding Miles Michaelis that I'll use at some point, but we've had some more pressing ones. But I was laughing. So, more to come on that.
Okay.
Whoever you are out there.
Interesting. All right.
All right, Hambone. The free agent. I mean, the stove is hot.
Stove is hot. Finally, golly. Yeah. So we talked about it. We briefly mentioned it a second ago when we were chatting about the Cubbies, but the Cubbies have brought in Alex Bregman out of nowhere. They reached a deal for 5 years, $175 million to be their third baseman for now and the future. I'll just say this. It's a lot of money. I was surprised. There is some decent deferrals. I really thought that he was going to be a Red Sox. I think the Red Sox thought he was going to be a Red Sox. But he goes to the Cubbies.
Have you seen the reporting on that? They tried to call his bluff, basically. They said that they did not believe that he had a deal of this magnitude on his table.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if they would have beat it, but it's pretty funny to be like, we don't, what do you do? I mean, I know negotiations. I know these are huge things. It's a lot of money, high stakes, etc. But you rarely get that little peek into it where they said, we didn't think he actually had this offer. And so then you're finding out that they're like really under, they were, turns out, lowballing him, or maybe this deal just really is way more than any other team was willing to give him. It is higher than I expected him to get. And I picked him in our little game, so I was happy to see that, he went above expectations. Offsets my pick, which went way below expectations. But I mean, good for the Cubs right now. It's not a great ballpark for him, but he does hit the ball very hard, so I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. But playing in Houston and playing at Fenway, it's very different than playing at Wrigley. So I think he'll still be good. I think he will help them win games. But I do wonder how this is going to look at 35 years old, 36, you know?
The good news for Cubs fans is that he walks at a really nice rate, and he is an excellent defender.
Yeah.
And if you need him to, he could play second base.
Yeah.
And move around the infield a little bit. But yeah, I mean, when he posted last year, he had a really nice year. I think he fits into their kind of game plan of run prevention,
Yeah.
and I think that he is a he'll be the star of this team.
He's good
next year.
It is a good signing by the Cubs for their current purposes. And as a Cardinal fan, we just are hopeful that maybe by 2027 or more likely 28 or 29, he's starting to decline, and it'll line up with our ascension.
I think it's a good place to be in a Cardinals fan. As a Cardinals fan, you're downshifting into second gear as the Cubbies are kind of throwing all their darts at the board, getting Cabrera, like we talked about, going and spending a ton of money on Bregman. It's
yeah.
If the Cubs are going to go like this, which I still don't understand why they didn't do this last year with Kyle Tucker, but whatever. The Cardinals kind of taking their name out of the hat at the same time as you can relish in that at least a little bit.
Yeah, and if you're a Cubs fan out there, I don't know why you're listening to this show, but you probably have Cubs fans in your family. A lot of us do. They've gotten a lot of shit over the last few years for not spending money. And so you got to feel a little bit glad to see them finally go out and buy a big guy,
I do hold the opinion that the Cubs should be good. The Cubs should be spending money. The Cubs should be trying. They are one of the biggest markets. They are one of the best well-known brands. They should be swinging it around.
This. And it's more fun as a Cardinal fan when the Cardinals and the Cubs are good. We want them. I like it when the Cubs are good if the Cardinals are just slightly better. That's what we really want.
That's good. That's good times right there. Yeah, fully agree. All right, this one just came over the transom right before and I feel like I need to hit the refresh page again, but sounds like the Boston Red Sox have agreed to sign Ranger Suarez, 5-year deal, $130 million. I think this, really instant take on this is that I think it's a really good deal. The top of the rotation is now Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, Sonny Gray. You have to be really, really excited about that going into next year. The Red Sox, I wonder often, is Craig Breslow good? Is he doing his job well? Getting rid of Rafael Devers, and so there's been a handful of situations that I just wonder, is he good at his job? But I think this is probably going to be a very good deal. I really like Ranger Suarez, and I think that he is not the most flashy pitcher, but that changeup is legit, and I think he's a perfect number 2, number 3 for this team.
And they just traded their entire pitching depth to the St. Louis Cardinals, so they needed to do something to add innings and depth to that rotation. So I think it's a good deal for them too. I have to imagine, we'll see how it all works. But if you're a Red Sox fan, I bet you've been pretty happy with this offseason with this on top of it. Losing Bregman sucks. Maybe they're still going to go in on another bat. But the additions of Contreras, Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, those are all legitimate win now pieces for this team.
Yeah, I really thought that they were going to get Pete, and I really thought that they were going to get Bregman, but it just didn't happen. All right, sticking in the NL East, I guess the East in general, the Marlins have decided to trade Ryan Weathers to the Yankees for 4 prospects: Dylan Lewis, Brendan Jones, Dylan Jaso, and Juan Matthews. And I will tell you, Nate, I don't know any of those minor league players.
Yeah, I think the Marlins are stupid. The more I've thought about it, the more I think the Edward Cabrera trade was bad.
Yeah,
I think they got fleeced by the Cubs a little bit, and now they are maybe getting fleeced by the Yankees for Ryan Weathers. I know both Ryan Weathers and Edward Cabrera have issues. There's reasons why they're not current aces. But the upside and the control and the value that they've produced already, I'm surprised that they keep doing these deals where they get like 4 guys that are fine, and that like just almost never works out in these sorts of things, like every once in a while, these quantity deals, you get like a real player and a serviceable player or whatever, but it just almost never works out. And I just don't know why they do something like that. Like the Rays trade with the Orioles for Shane Baz was like a quantity deal, but there was the Farrell guy is pretty high, has some true high upside, and the 4 other guys are all of some quality. I don't really know much about these 4, and I think it makes a lot of sense for the Yankees. So probably a good deal for the Yankees, probably a bad deal for the Marlins. I guess we'll see.
Well, yeah, and you know, obviously Ryan Weathers has some injury issues, but at the end of the day, he's a big boy who throws 97, 98 from the left side, and has good strikeout numbers. He also has, I think it's 3 or 4 years of control. He's going to be 26 coming into this season. So, even if you don't love everything he's done, you're getting a guy who has the makeup to be very special. And I think the Yankees have proven that they can get a lot out of pitchers over the past handful of years. So this is probably going to be a great trade for the Yankees. They're getting younger. And yeah, like you were hitting on, it's 4 guys I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Like, go get a Spencer Jones. Get one Spencer Jones, even though he has to strike like, it's confusing.
Yeah. They just keep targeting players that most like the trade they did last year. Who was it for? They got like a couple speedy outfielders. And it's like those things are a dime a dozen in the minor leagues. There's no like Casey has real upside. I get that, but that dude's risk profile is massive. So I don't know. Anyway, we can move on, but I think the Marlins are bad and making bad choices.
Yeah. The Rockies have acquired Jake McCarthy from the Diamondbacks. I guess I'll just weigh on this really quick. He's a decent outfielder who can run quickly, and we need decent outfielders who can run quickly in the outfield at Coors Field. I have not been blown away by the new front office's tactics so far. But Jake McCarthy is definitely better than whoever else was going to be out there. Maybe Tyler Freeman picking up some starts or something like that. I don't know. But I also don't think Jake McCarthy is good.
McCarthy is at least flashed moments. There's something there maybe.
Jake McCarthy keeps Mickey Moniak out of the outfield, and that in its own way is extremely beneficial. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then good for you. You don't watch as much Rockies baseball as I do. But Mickey Moniak should not be allowed to play the outfield.
I liked this deal for them because McCarthy does have some upside. He could, and in that ballpark, he could hit for a high average, play good defense, maybe a little bit of pop, and steal some bases. But he also might never. They didn't pay a lot for him either. So
no, they did not.
Yeah.
Max Kepler receives an 80-game PED suspension.
You're gone.
I feel like this might just be the end of his career. He's been kind of it's funny. He was like a StatCast darling.
Yeah.
And it never really truly clicked into place. He had a really bad year last year. The year before that wasn't great. He's 33. He just caught a PED suspension, so you can assume that the last year or two were performance enhanced seasons where he couldn't get a WRC plus above 100. This is a guy that I thought was going to be really good.
Everyone did. Yeah, and you've stayed like this is the nightmare Nootbaar outcome, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of bounces around the league. Everyone signs him or dreams on him because of those underlying numbers, but it just never comes together. So yeah, I think he might be done.
Yeah. He's a German.
Yeah, he'll go play and he'll go and hit 85 home runs in PB or something like that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, Rob Manfred, our guy, stumps for MLB free agent signing deadline. Brooke. Who's the A's player? Brooke. Why can't I think of his name? DH for the A's.
Wait, okay,
Come
let's
on.
see. Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers. Man, how can we not remember the DH for the Athletics?
Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker.
Oh, Brent Rooker.
Brent
yeah,
Rooker.
Yeah.
Jeez, Brent Rooker trashed him after saying this.
Sometimes.
He plays outfield sometimes. Brent Rooker trashed him for saying this. And I think that there are some arguments from a fan point of view that a free agent signing deadline makes a lot of sense. But it's clearly bad for players.
Yeah.
It puts them in a bad negotiating window that is just, they don't have any leverage. Any thoughts you want to throw on that?
I think we maybe need to do a segment here when we're not an hour and 20 minutes into our episode.
All right.
In the future about some of these things that are starting to come to a head as we enter into the CBA. But I think that's part of what's going on here is Manfred, like this is all the beginning stages of like jockeying for position and negotiating.
Yeah.
Get them all out there and the the lead, maybe they don't actually care about this. And they can give this one up as part of the negotiation to get a salary cap or something like that. Like that's why you're seeing Manfred start to throw these out, even though apparently he is going to be leaving. He still works for the owners. So anything he's doing is on behalf of the owners,
Right. All right. And in the sake of moving the show along, citing competitive reasons, the Royals have announced a plan to move and lower the outfield walls. The gaps will go from 387 to 379, and the height of the wall will be dropped from 10 to 8.5 feet in most places. And the additional space behind the wall will allow more than 200 seats to be added. I find this fascinating because it's like Kauffman Stadium has played one way for a really long time. They're also talking about moving ballparks.
Yeah.
The Astros should be somewhat competitive right now, and this feels like a kind of a weirdly big change to a very cavernous ballpark, but interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen, people inevitably and probably already have. I just haven't seen it. The like overlays of what this would do to home run counts and whatnot, but it is a notoriously hard place to hit home runs, and they have some real boppers on their team. So this could be, we could be looking at the Royals a little bit different next year after this with all of their hard hitting players, and Perez is still over there hitting nearly 40 home runs. So might be a fun summer in KC.
Lane Thomas is going to go 30 for 30. All right, that's all the league news I got, Nady.
All right, Hambone. We have been talking about prospects all off season. It is going to be a core part of the Cardinal discussion for the next several years as we continue to build out this farm system. So I started thinking, earlier last week we did a game of what has been the results of the first 5 years of the Cardinals decade. And I thought, what did our prospect system look like back in 2020? This is going to be hard, Hambone, but I think this is interesting, at least for listeners, just to see how these things evolve. So what I have, Hambone, is our list of the Cardinals MLB.com ranked top prospects going into the 2020 season. So this is before
2020. Okay.
The 2020 draft. I'm curious, and we're going to do the 3 strikes rule because I won't make you suffer here. But I think you can get more of these. Like, if you think about it, I think you can get a lot of these. How many of our top 10 prospects from 2020 can you name? I'm giving you a wide range there. And we're doing, this is Who Charted 2020 prospects.
All right. I think number 1 is Del Carl.
That's right. Our top prospect in 2020 was Dylan Carlson. Now on the Baltimore Orioles.
Is he still there? Yeah. Can't remember if he had graduated by this point or not, but Alex Reyes is still a prospect in that time period?
No, Alex Reyes is not. I think he might have even been gone by that point. When did he join the... You keep thinking, I'll look it up.
Okay. Okay, so Dill Carl, number 1 with a bullet. 2020 was the year that we drafted Mason and Jordan and Burleson. I wonder, is this you said this is at the beginning of the 2020 season? Okay, so those guys are not on this list, I would think.
Reyes made his debut in 2016.
Oh, wow, way off.
And then he never pitched in the majors again after 2021.
Damn. Poor guy.
Yep.
Donovan, was Donovan list? When did Donnie come up? Probably around that same time. But he was just older. But was he a prospect? He was a prospect. Was he a high up prospect? I don't remember. I'll go Brendan Donovan for my second guess.
No, he is not on the list. I don't remember him ever even being on prospect lists.
No.
That was like the Matt Carpenter type thing where we get like a 25-year-old who comes up and is just way better than anyone expects. Could be wrong, and someone might correct us, but I don't remember him ranking very high on any prospect list.
I believe that Tater Tots was already on
who?
Harrison Bader.
Oh,
yeah. Believe he was already a major leaguer at that point. So I'm not going to say his name. Jay Flair. Jay Flair was already a major leaguer at that point.
Yeah, Harrison came up in 2017.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay. How about this? How about give me Adolis Garcia?
No, Adolis Garcia. That trade happened. He also, I don't think he ever really ranked very high. That was,
damn it.
Was that 2019 when that trade happened? Also.
Oh, was it? Why did I think? I thought both of them got. Him and Arozarena was 2020, but I must be
that. So he did play. Adolis made his debut with St. Louis in 2018. Didn't play in the majors in 2019, and then played with Texas in 2020.
Damn it. Okay. God, I'm fucking terrible at this.
I will tell you, 2, 3, and 4 are currently on the team.
2, 3, and 4 are currently on the team.
One more strike.
Okay. 2, 3, and 4 are currently on the team. I'm going to have to say, is Gorman was he that far back? Maybe he was. Was Libby that far back? I'll say Nolan Gorman.
Number 2, Nolan Gorman.
Number 2, Nolan. Matthew Liberatore.
Number 3, Matthew Liberatore.
Okay.
He's rolling, folks.
No, that hint really helped me out there. I feel like Lars Nootbaar was never really a prospect. Victor Scott, I don't think was around that late or that early. Gee golly gosh. Oh wait, well Ivan Herrera, he's been on the team forever, right?
Yep.
He's
Ivan
the longest.
Herrera, number 4.
There we go.
You got him, number 4. So I will say those were Carlson 1, Gorman 2, Liberatore 3, Herrera 4. So you've done well. You've gotten the top 4. After that, it does get a little bit more tricky. There is no one who is currently on the major league roster. There are a couple still in the system.
Okay. Does Tink Hence go back that far? I feel like I've been talking about Tink Hence for decades.
Feels that way, doesn't it?
Dakota Hudson, did he elevated before that happened? I think. Jesus Christ. I feel this makes me feel so stupid. I want to die.
Yeah. Weird that this is the thing that makes you feel that way.
McGreevy was around that time, and he was a number 1 overall pick. Give me Michael. No, wait, you already said no. Fuck no. I take that back. I take that back.
Oh my Both God. Hudson and McGreevy were first round picks, but those were sometime in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Not number 1 overall picks which is what you said.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, not over. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you for apologizing.
G. Criminy.
I got to
Okay.
start a clock here soon for you,
Okay.
Hambone.
All right. I'll just say a name. I'll say a name, and it's going to be, I can't think of any baseball players all of a sudden. Sweet Jesus.
Let me see a sweet Jesus on the list. So another Cardinals first rounder. There's a first rounder who was recently DFA'd and then re-signed is number 5.
Paulie D.
No. Paulie D.
No.
But Paulie D.
He was way before that, wasn't he? All
yeah.
right, let's let Paulie D. That's my final.
That's your final answer. Anymore. Yeah. Paul DeYoung debuted in 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was just saying, I know he just got signed by the Yankees, which is why that popped in my brain.
Zach Thompson was number 5, who I was referring to.
Holy shit. Yeah. I remember Zach Thompson.
Yeah, I think he was the 2019 first overall pick for the Cardinals, first round pick. After that, number 6, Andrew Kisner. Now with the Mariners.
He was that highly touted? Wow.
Yeah. Here's a fun one. Number 7, Elu Harris Montero.
Hey, Rockies legend.
Yep. Traded for Nolan Arenado. Not playing professional baseball anymore, or at least not affiliated with a major league team. John Torres, Jhon. He is still in the Cardinals system.
Would not have. There's no way I could have called that up.
No, he's still way down in the system. Genesis Cabrera, now with the Phillies.
Oh, yeah.
Junior Fernandez with the Diamondbacks.
I remember him.
And that was the top 10. I will say number 11 was Johan Oviedo, and number 12 was Jake Woodford.
Wow.
So how about that?
Names I know, but man, could not. That hurt. That just, I was in pain that entire time.
All the way down at 22, Lucan Baker. 23, Juan Yepez. And down at 27, the 27th prospect going into 2020, Andre Palante. How about that?
Still here.
Yep. All right. Well, you got the top 4, which is...
There was a very big hint from you. Obviously, the listener heard that, but yeah.
So, but it is tough. I mean, that I do that a little bit just to highlight, like, man, these prospect lists, like, you just don't know. The best farm systems in the world can put out nothing, So it's part of the fun of the whole thing. It's part of the joy of the whole thing, and the disappointment of the whole thing is, it's fun to dream on these guys, but we'll see what happens. So, I hope in 5 years we look back at the 2026 top prospect list, which we can check in on maybe next week because it's certainly been updated. And we say, wow, that's the core of the team right now, but most likely it'll be a little bit of A, a little bit of B. So with that, we will be back next week with another episode and maybe another major trade. There's really just one more left, maybe 2 if you count JoJo, and maybe that will be one big trade altogether. But we'll certainly be here to talk about it, or who knows what else. So thank you all for listening. Remember, check out all of our links at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can find there the Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. And thank you again. We'll be back next week. And until next week, I'm going to say, go high and bloom, get it done with Tigers.
Bye, Donnie. Yeah, we should grok some nude photos of us out.
We should,
because apparently there's no issue with that.
Grok some nude Fredbird.
He's kind of no. Yeah, what if like Fredbird had some like big areolas? Think people would like that?
Yeah, I think people would like that. Big titty Fredbird. That's
disgusting.
All right, let's do this.